Good morning. I hope you're having a great week. Today's Q&A is loaded with a lot of great questions and some great answers that are going to come with that. There's 6 questions specifically. One about food aversions, a deload week, weight fluctuations, cholesterol, really good stuff on cholesterol. How can I improve my grip strength, and struggling with feeling really full and what to do about that. So we are first going to start with, why am I having food aversions? And I did some research on this and it's not really clear. A lot of the information was based off of pregnant women and children. And I know that most of the clientele that I work with are not children and they are not pregnant. And so it's a bit tricky to answer this. It's very unclear as to why this might be happening. Can be due to hormones. Of course, that would relate more so to pregnant women. It can be due to sensory processing. So that would be more related to children or trauma. Autism has been tied into that as well. So I know it happens from time to time. It's definitely happened to me. I don't know what brings it on for myself. I will have to take a break. Usually it's protein, if I'm being completely honest. Eggs, meat, it just gives me the ick. And so I will just switch to some different foods. I will cook things differently, even having like scrambled eggs versus hard-boiled eggs or egg cups can help me to get over it. Sometimes it's just a week of not eating that food and then I can get back into it. It's cooking things differently, frying, baking, poaching, grilling, like cooking things different ways, mixing different foods together as opposed to like, I guess, adding more variety. That's what I'm trying to say. Having your chicken as a chicken burger or a taco or in some type of mixed dish might be helpful. But if you just like cannot do meat right now, that's okay. You can get protein in different sources. Maybe it means that you have to double up your protein powder and have 2 scoops instead of 1, or have 2 smoothies instead of your 1 regular smoothie. Maybe it means looking up some plant-based recipes or vegan recipes, including things like tofu, edamame, chickpeas, tempeh. I'm not a huge plant eater, but sometimes I do have to eat that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it's going to increase your carb intake, but that means more fiber, more energy, more nutrients. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we get so caught up in, oh my gosh, I have to eat the protein. I have to eat the protein. And yes, it is incredibly important, but I don't want you to have to force down specific foods only to make yourself revolt against those specific foods. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, next. What does a deload week mean? So that means that you are taking a planned period of reduced training intensity and or volume. It's typically a week in length. It's typically designed to allow the body and the mind a little bit of a break, a recovery from the stress of workouts, because workouts are a stressor. And if you've got a ton on the go and you are having food aversions and your recovery is really poor, you're super sore, your sleep is crappy, your mood is crappy, you just feel blah, for a lack of better words. It could be that you need to give your body and your mind a little break. Does that mean that you completely stop your exercise? No. I would recommend, of course, continuing to walk every single day, but maybe it is switching to yoga for the week. And maybe it's actually just continuing with the consistency of your workouts, but like I said, reducing the intensity, reducing the volume. So you are decreasing the weight that you are lifting. You are also decreasing possibly the reps and possibly the amount of sets that you are doing, and you are focusing on form. This is your opportunity to slow things down, to really focus on that mind-muscle connection, because that's difficult. Like even with a lighter weight, if you are really focusing on that muscle and the contraction of that muscle, that is another way to train, as opposed to just going ham on the weight that you're lifting, as well as the reps and the sets. So it is something that I strategically do with myself, and it's something that I strategically do with clients as well. It can be difficult to wrap your head around, especially if you're like super motivated and disciplined and committed, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't not work out. Like that's my time for me. That is my stress relief. I totally get that. We can approach things from a different way, but it's usually not an option. It is usually necessary. And so when somebody goes on vacation or they go camping or road trip, I know the summer is officially here, school's out, and there's a lot of people traveling, and they say like, what do I do about workouts? I usually tell you to focus on walking, play with your kids. In the summer, there's usually tons of other activities, whether it's cycling or paddle boarding, boating, tubing, golfing, like that all counts towards your activity, your movement for the day. So again, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you've got further questions on that. Why does my weight fluctuate so much? My weight can honestly fluctuate 10 pounds. Like that's at the high end. It will fluctuate from morning to evening. Let's see here, about 5 pounds typically. And that's just because I'm drinking 3 to 4 liters. I'm also eating well over 2,000 calories. And so that all, of course, adds weight to your body. But things that can impact fluctuations. Water is a big one. We are about, well, the stats say like 55 to 78% water. I like to say 65 just to keep it in the middle, but that's a lot of water. Think of your body. 65% of it is water. So that can have massive fluctuations from day to day on the scale. And that can be based on your sleep or lack of sleep. It can be based off stress. It can be based off of food quality, food quantity, how much water you're drinking, your hormones, what time of the month is it, your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those will all impact fluid retention and weight. What else? Exercise. If you have a very challenging workout, especially if you train your lower body, your legs, they're big muscles, they will hold on to more nutrients, more water, more inflammation as part of the recovery process. For myself, when I've been like super dialed in with my sleep, with my water, with my nutrition, I will even see fluctuations on the scale if I eat the exact same thing for 2, 3, 4 days in a row. I will see my weight fluctuate. And like I said, that is dependent on other factors. My sleep. Did I go to the bathroom? Am I constipated? Did I work out extra hard? Am I feeling more stressed? The timing of my meals, like all of these things will have an impact on the scale, and it's not fat. Fat cannot fluctuate by that much on a day-to-day basis. It's all based off of the factors that I talked about, mainly being water weight. All right, let's keep on keeping on. How can I improve my grip strength? I know I can lift heavier, but after 3 to 5 reps with a heavier weight, I can't hold the weight anymore, but I have an extra 10 reps to go. So this is gonna sound a little bit silly, but it's honestly to just keep going. It's just like anything else, your grip will get stronger. Like, challenge yourself as best as you possibly can to just hang on to those weights, without dropping them over time, because you're going to build strength in your forearms. Tennis balls, like squeezing tennis balls, stress balls, that will build up strength in your forearms. Doing farmer's carries, so that's just holding the heaviest weight you possibly can. You're not lifting, you're not doing curls or presses or anything with them, no squats. You are simply walking. That is called a farmer's carry, and Rob does them all the time in our basement. It's just walking. It's great for posture. You can hold your shoulders back. It's great for your core as well, and it's fantastic for your grip strength. Towels, wringing out towels as hard as you possibly can. That works on building your grip strength. If you want assistance, then there's something called wrist straps that you ultimately wrap around your wrist. It has like a longer piece that wraps around the dumbbell or the barbell, and that will help you to hold on to that weight. The only thing with that is that the straps are then holding a lot of the weight, and you're not necessarily building that strength in your wrists or your forearms. So I would say, just keep at it. You are going to build strength. You just have to remember that your legs, and I guess even your biceps, your back, are much bigger muscles than your forearms. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there. What I do with a barbell, you can't really do this with dumbbells, but what I do with a barbell is I do a reverse grip. So instead of, if I were to hold the barbell this way to do deadlifts, I actually switch my grip. So one palm is facing forward, one palm is facing back. And that I have found super duper helpful for myself when I'm doing some heavy deadlifts. All right, next, I'm struggling with feeling really full, especially with carbs. Any suggestions? This has come up quite a bit with clients and even with myself. I typically I'm eating 175 grams of carbs right now, I believe. But typically, because I'm in a bit of a diet phase right now, typically I'm eating well over 200, 250, sometimes 300 grams of carbs. It's a lot of food, but I feel so good on it. I have great energy, digestion is good. They just make me feel good. Carbs in general just make people feel good, right? But eating rice, eating potatoes, eating bread, eating oats, pasta, I think of those foods as more of winter foods for myself. They just keep you more satiated, full. So in the summers, I eat a ton of fruit. That is one thing I'm swapping, for my breakfast. Instead of having potatoes or bread, I'm having fruit, several servings of fruit. Well, at least 2, sometimes 3. I will have fruit at lunch. I will have fruit for snacks. I will have fruit for desserts. I eat a ton of fruit. I will still eat potatoes just because potatoes are a great source of potassium. And I will go out and say this, that 95+% of people are lacking potassium, and potassium is so important. So I continue to eat potatoes. Rice is kind of on the lighter side, but it can make you feel full. So I would suggest eating a lot more fruit, making sure you're getting like a smoothie. If you can pack that smoothie with a bunch of fruit, like you're getting your carbs in. And if you are just struggling with eating carbohydrates, then we can decrease that and likely increase your fat and try that to see if you are better able to tolerate a higher fat diet instead of carbs. Might notice a dip in your energy, you might not. The whole point of making sure that you are getting plenty of these macronutrients is to ensure that you have the fuel, that you have the energy, that you can go, that you feel like the Energizer Bunny. I think that women just naturally undereat. They undereat carbs, they undereat fats, they undereat protein, and they wonder why they don't feel good. They don't have energy, they're moody, they have cravings. It comes down to their nutrition, their choices, the amount that they are consuming. All right, hopefully that's helpful. All right, last but not least, all about cholesterol. And I'm gonna try to break this down as simply as I can because this is like super fascinating, and I think that there's misconceptions about cholesterol. I'm sure you've heard to cut back on eggs, for example, because those are high in cholesterol. But the thing is that cholesterol it's a key substance that our body makes and can be found in food. So your body actually makes cholesterol. And we use it to form cell membranes, sex hormones, other molecules in the body. Like, it is important. The issue is that cholesterol needs something to transport it in the body. Because cholesterol is fatty, it doesn't mix well in our blood, which is mostly water. So we need something called lipoproteins. I'm going to give you a little science here, and it's all gonna make sense because it's freaking fascinating. But we need lipoproteins in order to take that cholesterol and move it in our body. Now there's two kinds. There's LDL and there's HDL, and I'm sure you've heard of that before. Low density lipoproteins is the one that's not necessarily great for us. HDL, high density lipoproteins, tends to be the better carrier for cholesterol. LDL is like, it's fluffier, it's bigger, and if we have more of it, it ends up getting stuck in, excuse me, like it builds up crud in our arteries, in our veins, and that can cause something called atherosclerosis. Excuse me, I need something to drink. And with women specifically, women have a higher chance of developing cardiovascular disease as we age based off of fluctuating hormones, specifically estrogen. Your estrogen is going to decrease, your chance of heart disease increases. Now you're probably asking, okay, Danielle, how do we decrease our LDL if that is what is causing the issue? And it comes down to the fatty acids that you eat. So things like saturated fats from processed food, not beef, not eggs, but saturated fats, trans fats from a lot of processed foods, packaged foods, seed oils. I talk a lot about this, canola oil, safflower oil. This can exacerbate or I guess create more LDL cholesterol. So you want to eat things that are minimally processed, high in omega-3s from plants. So things like nuts, things like seeds, olives, olive oil are fantastic. It's not necessarily the cholesterol that's bad. Like shrimp, for example, super high in cholesterol. but it's low in saturated fat, so it's good for you. We wouldn't think that shrimp is high in cholesterol. I didn't think that. I just learned that not too long ago. Eggs, same thing. High in cholesterol, but it's not high in saturated fats. It's good for us. It's more so the carrier, like I said, the LDL that's bad. The cholesterol is not necessarily the issue. So if you do have higher cholesterol, it has to do with your LDL. So consume omega-3s, salmon, nuts, seeds. Fish is great. Olive oil is fantastic. So hopefully that was helpful. I tried to keep it fairly short. This is, I've got a book in front of me all about cholesterol, and it's so freaking cool. But I think I covered it all. So I will leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I will be back next week.